let me ask you something. What was your least visited location in Hogwarts Legacy? A. Upper Hogsfield, B. Southern Coast, or C. Your common room? Because in my experience, I found that that was the least visited location in the game. And it's such a bummer because they're so detailed. You know, the developers made unique architecture for all the dormitories. Each has its own atmosphere. Even the music is different in each of the dormitories. And, you know, there's not much reason to hang out there. I mean, you can't expect people to just stand there for an hour and look at the... I mean, I did that because I'm a nerd, but there's room for improvement here. And not only here, there are other aspects of the game that are just thriving with potential and just need a little boost. And that's something that can be done with the DLCs. And I know we already started a conversation about the DLCs in another video, but there's more to discuss. And here's the thing. Sorry, by the way, hi. I didn't say hi. I'm Ben Snow, and welcome to the Gaming Couch. This is where we play different video games, and I have a dog sleeping here. So if you hear snoring, that's him. But here's the thing. Take everything that I say with a grain of salt, but I have no doubt that we're going to get a DLC. And there's something that I learned through the years of covering Hogwarts Legacy and also through meeting the developers and Avalanche Studio when I went there, that they pay attention. They read all the comments, they watch all the videos, they see, they make sure that they're on the same page with the community. And that makes sense because, you know, they want to make sure that they have the demand for the product they're trying to sell. And so, potential buyer, make sure you do voice what you want, where you want the improvements, what kind of DLCs do you want, what do you even want in the sequel, who knows. It doesn't mean that they're gonna put literally that in the video game, but they always take that into the consideration. And by the way, I will be making a follow-up video to this where I'm gonna be talking about your wishes for the DLC, so make sure you put everything in the comments. All right, but now let's talk about the things that I want to see as the DLCs. So the first thing is the map, and specifically expansion, because I think the map of Hogwarts Legacy is kind of small, and it's, you know, it's detailed. There's a lot of life in it, I think, and I'm glad it's not like Assassin's Creed. It's not overly too big, but, you know, it's a little bit small. And it could use a little expansion. And I think the fact that the map is square and we have some empty space on the left and right, or the opposite, my brain is weird. I think those can be the possibilities, and we can travel to them in a similar way how we travel to the South Coast. We're going through a cave, and there I hope we can see different terrains. It necessarily has to be something completely different, but I think overall the map can see some expansions. But of course, I want more things to be in that expansion, and that's where we come to enemies / difficulties. Because, well, one thing, I want bigger enemy camps because they're cool, but I want more. I want the battle arenas were awesome. By the way, there you go. There's an option for another battle arena, but in general, I would love to have bigger enemy camps, have more enemies there, and with that, higher difficulty. Because at the end of Hogwarts Legacy, when I already upgraded all my gear, I'm really powerful. It's easy to kill enemies even on the hardest difficulty. So I think, and it happens sometimes with games when they release like an ultra hard or nightmare mode where enemies are stronger, but also sometimes they do enemy multiplier, just makes them, you know, it multiplies the enemies. I would love to see that. Just make it extra fiery. Number 3, dungeons. More dungeons. And I'm not talking about the dungeons that are called dungeons in the game, because the dungeons that are called dungeons in the game are not really dungeons. I'm talking about like the main mission dungeons, or specifically Haunted Hogsmeade Shop quest. If you haven't done that one yet, if you're not on PlayStation, make sure you do that once it becomes available on other platforms on February 2024, because that is one of my favorite quests ever. It's so elaborate. It takes like an hour or more to do the quest. It's just so good. It's so interesting. It keeps you on your toes. It's really good. Super fun to do. I was like, yo, why we don't have more of these extra quests? But I mean, of course, we do have a lot of elaborate dungeons, but they're mostly linked to the main story, and the ones that are just side quests are on a smaller scale. So I would love to see more of dungeons like this. So bigger, multiple levels, more puzzles, have a specific theme. I love how it had like the mannequins and the haunted aspect, and it had its own little story and a couple of themes that can go with it. Well, I'm sure the developers will come up with something cool, but we have Azkaban as an amazing asset in the game, and only Hufflepuffs see that, or the ones who kill too many people. I think that's just a mod, but regardless, I think we can use more of that asset. And that's something that I want to say. Like, of course, when you think about the DLCs, usually it's not something that completely remote and completely super brand new. It's like I can't expect for them to make a Diagon Alley or Ministry of Magic. I would be absolutely shocked that in a DLC we're going to be able to go to Ministry. I doubt that. I think if there's a chance, we will see that in the sequel, which that's a whole different discussion for another video. But I think Azkaban is a possibility. But next, I would love to see more spells. It's not a necessity, but you know, if I can cast Fire Tornado, well, game of the year immediately. Because the enemies, for example, they cast Expulso. Enemies cast Expecto Patronum, going back to the Azkaban theme. Well, not the enemy, sorry, the NPC, right? So we could not necessarily introduce a completely new set, but something, just a couple of more spells, just for shits and giggles, just to kind of spice things up. Like, oh, you get a dungeon, you get a map expansion, you get a couple of enemies or whatever, and you have a couple of more spells. So here you go. It's fun. Like, first you'll learn this spell from specific NPC. Maybe it's a professor or not necessarily. And then you will need it during your quest. Yeah. And of course, as I mentioned in the very beginning, I would love some minor missions in the common rooms or somewhere else in the castle. Something that makes us hang out. A mini game. Add playing chess and let us sit in those beautiful sofas and chairs. And it could be, that's just me, by the way. It could be as simple as, oh no, it's a thunderstorm. It's part of the mission. And you don't want to be outside. And your comrades, not your classmates, they just want to hang out and I don't know, play charades, or they discuss something while playing. I don't know. It's just a very, very simple activity of just being in a dormitory because there's thunderstorm, but it's linked to a mission that you're going to be doing, the bigger mission that you're doing. It's just a little part of it. It would make such a difference, because when I think of the common rooms of the dormitories, I'm like, oh my God, I'd love to be sitting by that fireplace, reading a book or playing chess or talking to a friend while there's a thunderstorm or whatever, or it's nighttime and it feels cozy. It feels, you know, that vibe. And that's what I was looking for from the common rooms. And it wasn't there. And I think there is a way to do it, even with one simple quest. With one mini game, it can be accomplished. But that's just me. Maybe that's not something that people really want. So, so that didn't make it into the game. Of course, I want more things in the DLCs, but what I'm most looking forward to is the story DLCs. And I believe the developers left little hints of which story DLCs we might see in the future. And I talk about this in this video. So make sure to check that out. And don't forget to put your DLC wishlist in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.